All right, what's good, y'all? Appreciate you tuning in. Today is Wednesday, April 16th, 2025. For those that don't know, my name's Luther Wilson III. I'm a real estate pro here in the Kansas City market. And I started this YouTube channel last year to talk about investing in real estate, educating, inspiring, collaborating is part of my mission. And so hopefully you'll see something in this video, or maybe a past video or a video that I may do in the future that'll help you out. All right, so most everything that I do and talk about is tailored around investment properties and working closely with investors. Okay, so that's been my thing over the last 10 plus years. And so appreciate you tuning in. I'd imagine that you either are currently selling real estate or own or invest in real estate, or you're aspiring to do one of those three things. All right, so plug in and you might catch a nugget here or there, a good gem that you can take with you. All right, so when it comes to working with investors, and in particular, I think this will be helpful for the real estate agents out there who are working with investors already, or maybe you're considering jumping in there and representing or assisting investors somehow. And in that case, a lot of you do end up, wanting to invest. And that's kind of the path that I took. And it was very helpful getting lots of reps in with clients before I jumped in myself, but that's a whole other story. As a real estate agent, you are in a lot of cases the first line of defense for a homeowner, for a seller, for a buyer. And it's kind of just a thing that's out there in the public and the media. And so there's some opportunities that may come your way. And working with investors has some negative connotations. And I definitely see where people are coming from, because it's difficult, it's challenging. There's a number of different moving parts that have to be handled in a rather short amount of time, or at least we try to make it happen in a short amount of time. And when you think about it, you're not just helping an investor with a property. And by the way, you could do more than just the acquisition, and that's what I'm going to get into here in a minute. But just kind of to overview things real quick, you got the funding and the financing, and then you got the acquisition, purchasing the property, okay? And then more often than not, for a lot of investors out there, you got renovations that you're gonna need to do. And then from there, you're either gonna flip it or resell it, putting it on the open market or for sale by owner, or however you sell it once you've rehabbed it, or you can keep the property as a rental or a long-term investment, however that looks. And so all along the way, money's changing hands, things are happening, and there's opportunities for you as a practitioner or an agent to serve your client better and to get compensated for it too. Or you might even at some point partner with a client and you can structure a similar type of thing, all right? So all along the way, the investor is gonna need help, whether they realize it or not, whether they admit it or not. If they have some experience, then they're gonna, you're gonna have to ask them some questions to figure out where they have made mistakes, and where you might be able to step in to assist them, okay? Because those different parts that I listed off, the funding, the financing, the acquisition, finding the opportunity, the renovation, the rehab project, and then there's the resale or the property management, right? A lot of investors may have one or two or more of those down pretty well, okay? Most investors don't have all of them down at the same time. If they do, you're not talking to them. They're busy. They're already doing it, all right? So for the agents, whether you're newer or not, for the investors, whether you're newer or not, if you're working with investors or they commission you to assist them, you want to structure things and make sure that you are not only just helping them get through the process, but you're taken care of as well, because there's a lot that goes into it. And this is part of the operations, is what I'm digging into. And again, refer back to some of my past videos, and I'm active on social media. I talk about three main things when it comes to business and real estate investing, and it's capital, strategy, and operations. And in today's video, I want to dig in a bit more on the operations aspect, working with investors, investors working with agents, vice versa type of thing. All right. So for context, and you can mix and match it however you want, based on your experience and knowledge as a practitioner and operator, what your strengths are out of those 5 or 6 things, right? And then getting in where you fit in with the right types of clienteles or partnerships and so forth. So what I did as an example, and you can kind of mix and match this however you like, at the end of 2021, I put together what I called a real estate investor concierge program, okay? And I officially launched it or took on clients the beginning of 2022, okay? And that year, I was able to help 4 investors through that process and more or less guiding them or holding their hand pretty much through every aspect, okay, from start to finish, all right? And then I kept it going in 2023, took on another client, but at that point, things got different with the market. The market had shifted already, and that's a whole other story that I may get into at a later date as well. So the program, all right, for the agents or the operators who would like to know, or the investors who want to work with a partner or an agent or an operator who's experienced, and you truly want to be more hands-off or passive, you might consider, okay, if that agent or whoever is on the ground, the boots on the ground, if you will, is operating the investment firm, whether they realize it or not, okay? And so I proposed that my clients pay me a little bit of something up front to get the ball rolling, because there's one aspect that I did not mention, and I'm glad I didn't, because I just thought of it recently, a second ago, that there's consulting as part of the process too. So, the funding, the financing, right? The acquisition, the renovation, then you got the resale or property management on the back end, okay? And before, during, and after, there's consulting that happens. You communicating with your client. If you don't want to consider it consulting or call it that, think of a different name and utilize it for your program. So what I did, because I knew, again, a lot of agents may not know, a lot of investors may not know, okay? But I had some experience as an operator, so I knew that there was going to be countless hours, minutes, hours, I don't know, throughout the process that I would have to connect with my client day and night, especially when you're in the thick of it. If you're in the thick of, coming up on closing on an opportunity, or starting or ending a renovation, or something management or resale related, you're gonna feel the pressure. You try to take the emotion out of it, and we can try all we want to keep our senses, disengaged. I don't know if that even makes sense. That does not make sense. But we're emotional creatures. We're emotional human beings. So it's always going to be a factor whether we recognize it or acknowledge it or not. So we just have to be mindful. When you're in the thick of whatever aspect you are, wherever you're at in the process, okay, it's going to be night and day, night and weekends, okay, and until you get to that next point. And that's a big aspect that we take for granted, investors take for granted, and we as practitioners a lot of times don't necessarily see value in that. But, to each their own. Like, again, you guys get to choose how you want to operate. It's worked really well for me. Every client who paid me a fee up front got results at least one time, some of them multiple times. So to clear the air a little bit there, there's misconceptions about fees, there's misconceptions about reality, real estate investing, okay? But for my program, it was $3,500 up front, okay? That was good for a year, which looking back, I definitely have modified that since then, all right? And then on top of that, so I'm gonna list off the aspects where the money exchanges and where you as an investor may need to be prepared, or you as a practitioner may also want to be prepared and organize, again, the different aspects, right? So the consulting, right? Then there's the acquisition, okay? There's a commission there, or an assignment fee, however that looks, or in some cases both. And then the renovation process, okay? So even though a lot of investors work with general contractors, and there's a good portion of investors that GC their own projects and they get in there and get their hands dirty. Either way, there's an exchange of money that happens, and there's a lot of time and energy that gets spent during the renovation process too. So whether you are the GC, whether you outsource to a GC, or whether you have a project manager and a GC, because especially if you're out of state, those that are in the Kansas City area, you know, Midwest, understand that there's a lot of out-of-state investor activity here. So this is huge for y'all, all right? It's been huge for me, a ton of my colleagues as well, all right? So where did I leave off? The other exchange of money. So there's the consulting, there's the acquisition, there's the renovation project. So wherever you're at, as far as the renovation project goes, whether you're the GC, whether you bring someone else in the GC it, or you're the project manager, someone's getting compensated there. So depending on the hats that you wear, the skills that you have, we're not gonna be able to wear all the hats. You might be able to help with one or two or three of them, right? That's another exchange. Then on the back end, once the renovation is done, there's a resale again. If you're gonna be a fix and flipper, so you gotta talk commission there. So for the agent, you've already looked at 2, 3, 4 ways that you could get compensated, right? Again, 1, 2, all of them, none of them. Choose how you wanna play. And then if you don't resell, then you have property management, okay? Which I didn't mention it earlier. A lot of real estate agents that want to invest, they end up wearing multiple hats, okay? So of course there's the agency aspect where you're helping others buy and sell. And then a lot of agents either do that along with property management, or they do the agency along with project management of sorts type of thing. And that was me for a while. That was me for years, is doing sales and then property management, okay? Then I realized, like, I was in touch with so many different contractors along the way that, hey, why not I look at, consider working with or partnering with a contractor or GC. So that's the route that I did. So I was able to help my investor clients or my investor partners with not just the sale and the property management, but after a number of years, helping them through renovation projects too. So, and then continuing from there. So again, this is great for not just the agent who wants to invest and they want to learn more about the process and get more experience through the operational process, but for the investors who are out of state who need help with the whole process, right? Finding good talent. This may be able to help you determine, like, okay, I know that I can find deals on my own and I know that I have a good GC, but I just need someone to help oversee the GC and then to help with some of the management aspects. That's cool too. So you can, again, mix and match however you want. And I'm gonna leave it at there today. And this is gonna be a series. In a couple of my previous videos, I talked about working with investors, okay? Private money, how it can happen with JV partnerships and so forth. And then I also talk about more tips working with investors for the agents out there. So plug in with me. If you have any questions about how we're making it happen, Again, it's Luther Wilson III, Upside Property Services, Kansas City Real Estate, signing off. Peace, y'all.